Breaking news: Ohio's two senators still can't agree on whether or not to give money to Ukraine. Over a year and a half after Russia's invasion of Ukraine's western neighbor, the two U.S. senators from Ohio are still at odds over America's role in the conflict. The federal government was on the verge of shutting down at the end of September, but lawmakers were able to pass a continuing resolution to fund operations for another 45 days, despite not including any additional funding for Ukraine. U.S. Department of Defense estimates that appropriations for the Ukrainian war effort are running low. Several Democratic senators, including Sherrod Brown, wrote to congressional leaders on Wednesday, urging them to swiftly pass legislation to increase military and economic aid to the country. Brown expressed concern that the chaos surrounding the U.S. House leadership threatened to derail progress. Brown was quoted as saying, "We need to provide assistance for Ukraine," during a recent interview. "If we fail, I'd say, if we fall short, I'd put it this way. China and Putin in Russia are having a celebration because the American House of Representatives is so dysfunctional that we're not able to do as a government what we ought to do." He declared that he sees the right moral position is as obvious. But first-year Senator J.D. Vance agrees with many Republicans in opposing the United States' approval of additional funding. "Right now, we are funding what amounts to an endless war with no clear objectives and an infinite budget." Vance remarked, "We need to put an end to it and bring peace to the table." According to the Department of Defense, the United States has provided nearly $44 billion in military aid since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. It appears that public support for the war in the United States is dwindling. A Reuters Ipsos poll published on October 5 found that only 41% of respondents favored sending additional security aid like tanks, rockets, and ammunition. From a previous survey, this was a significant drop. The Biden administration's reckless foreign policy has lowered our international standing and given our enemies more confidence. The withdrawal from Afghanistan was so poorly executed that the Taliban were able to seize assets worth over $7 billion, funded by American taxpayers. As a result of the White House's decision to resume aid to the Palestinian Authority, more than $200 million has been transferred to the territories of Gaza and the West Bank. The president's misguided policies have fostered a political and economic climate in the Middle East that is harmful to U.S. interests. These circumstances, which are most obviously exemplified by the heinous and barbaric war crimes being committed by Hamas terrorists against Israel, not only harm our allies in faraway lands, but also have a significant impact on Americans right here at home. How the terrorist attack by Hamas affects the price of oil. Oil prices will rise as a direct result of the political and military instability in the Middle East caused by Hamas' terrorist attack on Israel. The attacks on the Jewish state were met with jubilation by Iranian officials, who admitted over the weekend to providing Hamas with training and resources. The international community may respond by imposing sanctions that make it difficult for Iran to sell oil, the country's primary export. A similar spike in oil prices followed Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine, also caused by a disruption in the oil market. The price of oil has begun to rise in response to Saturday's attack, and consumers will feel the effects at the pump.